Welcome to Elevate, practical content that inspires. And today you will be inspired by our guest, Cassandra Durham, who is an African American faith based candle maker who creates moments of peace and clarity for stressed out women. Her products have been received with high acclaim. She tells us her story of finding her purpose and becoming a successful entrepreneur and a few other things we might get to talk about in between. I'm Valda Ford, and with you today is.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Rice.
And we are going to jump right into talking to Cassandra.
Cassandra, wonderful to have you with us today. Thank you so much. When you and I did a pre-interview, I realized how incredibly busy you are, a super busy woman. You have a full-time job, have the candle company, successful candle company, author, and minister. What would you say to the women who are trying to balance it all?
Oh, man. Well, first, let me say thank you for having me here today. But, it's a very interesting process trying to balance it all, because I don't know if I have it mastered, but there are a couple things that I've learned to do in my own processing. One of the first things I always tell people, and I had to realize myself, is to focus on my strengths. I say this all the time on social media. When people say, oh, you're so good at this, you're so good at that. And I'm like, nah, I'm only showing you the things that I'm good at, because there's no need for me to focus on the things that I am not good at. So focus on your strengths and do those things. The other thing I've learned is to hire others. If it's not your strength, stop, listen, quit staying up all night worrying about how you're going to get that spreadsheet done when you can find somebody on Fiverr to do it for you, and you can get some rest. And I think it's important to manage your time and finding personal time, because you can't keep giving out and doing everything that you do without finding a way to be replenished.
Wow, that's really exciting to know. And I had to learn about that giving it up, thinking that you have to do everything. You have to be everything. You're trying to save money, or maybe you're trying to just keep control of it all, but you can just lose your mind trying to do it all.
Yes. And for what? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's done perfect as long as it's done. And I had to learn that, really, of just saying, okay, you know what, Cass, you do not have control everything. And the things that I don't control, I learned to designate.
Fantastic. So when we're talking about you are the author of 5 different books, and after doing a review of these books, obviously a lot of them are deep in faith. But what made you decide to become the author? What inspired you to do that?
Oh, man. So my author journey is very untraditional in regards to a lot of my author friends. I didn't want to be a writer all of my life. But I have been journaling since I was a kid. But my author journey started because I just started writing what God said to me in my devotional time in the mornings. And so that started actually writing on Facebook. Literally, my journey started on social media. And, I would get up in the morning and have my coffee and pray and kind of meditate, and I just simply start writing the things he said to me. And so those things transitioned into my first devotional book, Fully Persuaded, 30 Days of Encouragement in Times of Trouble, because that was a result of living in 5 years of trouble. I mean, the cat died. I mean, everything that could happen literally happened. And so in my own pain and in my own processing, I just started writing what I was getting out of the scriptures, what I was getting inspiration from different places. And literally, I caught the eye of a publishing company who met with me and said, we would like to offer you a book deal. And I thought, y'all must be crazy, because, I ain't telling my business like that, or, I'm not fit for public consumption. But what I learned, and even in that, even if you feel like you're not worthy or you're not ready, do it anyway, because I was obedient and did that, it opened up so many more doors for me.
Oh, now, not fit for public consumption. That's got to be the next book, baby.
I love it.
I want my cut, though, because I gave you the title. But any case. So what were some of the big challenges you faced other than, you gave in to your faith? And I say give in the best possible way, but you said, okay, I got this. But outside in this secular way that other people are thinking about, what were some tough challenges when you decided to go ahead and be your own boss?
Oh man. So it's so crazy. The death of my grandson really helped me
Mhm.
to say, you know what, life is too short to keep thinking about what you ought to be doing, what you should be doing. And it really propelled me to stop being so fearful and just do it anyway. Because there's nothing like life-changing occurrences that really make you take a stock of who you are and really understand that we're only here for a very limited amount of time. And I've always been one of those people that believe that I believe that there are gifts and talents that are within us all, but we have to get still and be quiet and dig around and see what's in there so you know what to pull out.
Mhm.
And so the death of my grandson last year really propelled me to move forward because he was 3 months old and he died from SIDS. And so there was no warning, no indication, it was something that just happened. And standing at the foot of his hospital bed, I realized that either I was going to get busy living or I was just going to go ahead and die.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to clarify for those who might not understand what SIDS is. SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that is something that happens way too much in our industrialized nation. For us to be maybe number 44th or so, our numbers are terrible in all of the industrialized nations. We're bad with that. And then African American women and African American babies, because SIDS happens in the newborn phase, can be 3 to 7 times more likely to die than their white counterparts. So I just want to bring that home to people who might be listening.
Yes. And that was a huge challenge, just walking through that process, because I lost a daughter when she was 2 as a result of a house fire. And so I never wanted that for my children. I never wanted that for my sons. And for both of my sons who have experienced that, it really made me sit back and say, you know what? Either you're going to step out and just start doing the things that you've always wanted to do, or you're just going to keep living your life in regret. And we don't have enough time to keep living in regret.
Mm-hmm.
That is so, so true, Cassandra. When you went on then to do this whole candle company and to create these moments of peace and clarity. Did this come out of that event also, or what was the segue for your candle company?
My candle company came as a result of that. I love a great smelling man.
And don't we all?
Yes, yes. And I realized the impact of scent and how scent can play such a role in your emotions and in your mood and if you're going to have a good day. And I realized in my process, because I love a man that smells good. Like, I'm going to tell you now, if a man smells good, I'm going to turn around. That's just who I am. But I also like my house to smell good. Like, I love scents. And so during the pandemic, I started actually making pound cakes, and candle making is like pound cake making to me, because it's that way I'm able to think through processing. It's like getting your hands in it. It's like almost gardening and getting your hand in the ground and feeling the dirt in your hands. And that's the way candle making is for me. It's the mixing and the stirring and the measuring, and it helps me to really process information and process like plot points and the things that I need to do. So candle making was really birthed out of, ooh, this smells good. I wonder if I can do it. Well, let me try and see what happens. And then.
Yes. And then, because look, I'm a client and I can tell you, chow. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you took that man musk and threw it in that candle, girl, but you did it.
I love it. And that's what it's about. It's really about when you get a candle from Black Girl Candle Company, that whole experience of like, oh, I'm getting that box and it is for me. I've done for the kids. I've done for the husband. I've done all these things for all these people. But this right here, this is for me. And that's why I talk about having those moments of peace and clarity, because that's the time for you. You know, you put the kids to bed or make them go outside and play. Well, not now, but you know, buy some time. I really want to create an atmosphere for women to buy some time, because I want them to understand you've had your back against the wall before. You faced insurmountable odds before, and you came out all right. So if you just sit down for a minute and get some clarity and get some peace, you're going to make it out of this too.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So true.
So if people are listening to you, and what I've heard so far is that you had these moments where you had to, as you said, get busy living or get busy dying. And there are some people who have not gone through those profound types of events, but they're sitting here, especially now with the pandemic, where you know, we have time to think through things. I saw today where, you know, homemade beer is like booming because people have time to think through. I get the yeast and the hops and I put it in a jar and I shake it at this point in time.
Yes.
What would you say? What are your top suggestions to people who might be thinking about starting their own business? What do they have to think through? What processes make sense for them to work towards success?
You know what? I would tell them first and foremost, Google is your friend, and research. Research. Find somebody on YouTube that's doing what you want to do. Find somebody on Google, find somebody on social media doing it, because one of the things that a lot of us do on social media, we'll show you our processing. We will show you how to make business cards. We will show you those steps. And that's the beauty about social media, is that it makes it so much easier to research. So research it, find out all that you can about it. And the second thing I would say is find a mentor, because I think sometimes we don't understand the importance of mentors. For me, I found someone who was doing what I wanted to do and was doing it very well. And so she began to mentor me, and I was, you know, and mentoring kind of helps you avoid the pitfalls too. Now, It's not to stop you from being frustrated, but you'll have somebody that's already been where you're trying to go who can say, okay, well, take a left down there on Green Street or turn right instead of, you know. So I think because you need that guidance, and then work past your fear. There are so many times in this journey that I said, I'm not doing this, but you got to push past all of that, because the only thing that fear is doing is making you lose time. It's keeping you in bondage, because you will not move forward and do all of those things you're passionate or curious about if you're afraid of what's going to happen in the process. Don't worry about all that. Just do it anyway. You might fly.
But you have such an entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, you're like jumping out of my computer here. It's so amazing. So I just love that about you. This podcast is as an international audience. Do you believe there's being enough done to foster the entrepreneurial spirit internationally?
You know, that's very interesting. I have had, since starting the candle company, I've had some international dealings, and it's been quite wonderful for me. But I think that we can foster more. I always think that we can do better. I always think that we can do better. And I would love to be able to talk to other candle makers in different countries to see what are some of their processing. So I think that it can definitely work. I think that we could do certainly a lot more.
Well, I know when we think about entrepreneurial spirit internationally, I've had the good fortune of working in some pretty tough situations internationally. And one of the hardest hit groups, of course, would be women, if they are survivors of war and they come from environments where the guys are the breadwinners, or it's not as likely that women are educated and don't have all of the tools that they need. But there have been those micro enterprise type things going on. So if you were able to reach out today to women who maybe in refugee camps or in dire situations otherwise. And they were looking at getting started. And they had just the smallest